So recently I have been thinking about customization in shooter games. That's right, there's no way to say shooter games without sounding like you're 60 years old. But I don't want to say first-person shooters because on this list there's a third-person shooter, so I guess I should just say customization in AAA shooters. There we go, now I sound hip. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is the effects on skill that customization has, and then I'm going to talk about my personal feelings about customization and why games that don't embrace customization and have a lot of it usually fail. So let's talk about this. I can't talk about the skill effects of customization without bringing up Halo. Halo's a good example of a game that doesn't really allow you to customize your weapons at all. There are no foregrips, there are no sights, there are no barrel attachments, because we're excluding Halo 5 Warzone right now. And to a lot of people, this makes the game more skill-based, because you can't mess up your guns, no one's gonna have a better gun than you, because each weapon is useful for a different situation, and in Halo a lot of them have to be found around the map. So controlling and remembering where these weapons are definitely takes a lot of skill. But let's take it over to Battlefield, because this is where I have the most expertise, yes, and so the thing I want to talk about is the idea that because Battlefield 1 has only viable variations with their weapon presets, that it's more competitive and doesn't cater towards casuals. And I do agree with that. I think games that focus heavily on customization definitely is catering more towards the casual audience. I'll get into more of that later, but let me explain why customization makes a game more skill-based. And it's pretty simple, really. If you cannot mess up a weapon, then there's no room to fail. If you can potentially make your weapon's loadout or class worse, then it adds an extra thing that you have to learn. You have to get gameplay experience, you have to look up statistics and stats, watch YouTube videos on it. And of course the first thing that comes to my mind when I think of this is Battlefield 4. Here's an M16 that somebody might customize if they have no idea what they're doing, and maybe they're literally just going off of aesthetics or the little green bars, I don't know. Maybe they think they're catering to their playstyle with that weapon, I don't know. But it's hard to argue this is a really bad way to run the M16. So then you could also make the M16 like this. This is how I ran the M16, this is how I got it mastered. Once I started getting these attachments, I put these on and I rocked with it. Now I'm not saying they're the best and that it's the best way you could ever run the M16. It's the way I got used to it and it's the way that I prefer to run it, and if somebody asks me how to run it, I would tell them to run it the way you're seeing it on screen here. You see, a skill gap goes beyond gunfights, the meta, map knowledge. A skill gap can separate somebody that doesn't know how to customize a weapon from somebody that does. A newbie player might not, and I'm not going to say casual, but like a newbie player, someone that doesn't know what they're doing, might customize their weapon in a way that just removes the weapon's upsides and accentuates the downsides of the weapon. And that player is probably going to wonder why he's losing a lot of gunfights with whatever weapon he might be using poorly. And that is such an interesting idea to me, that like somebody could be not a terrible player, but they don't have the technical knowledge to customize their weapons or the experience to customize their weapons in a way that works. And so they end up losing gunfights that they normally shouldn't because of increased recoil where there shouldn't be, or maybe too short of a range on a weapon that, you know, shouldn't have too short a range. It's like the people in Battlefield 4 that put suppressors on every gun. When I see them, I just go, well, I'll just stand back here. I'll just get a little bit further away, and your bullets are going to take forever to hit me. And people slow down. Like, I saw somebody using a suppressor on a G36 the other day, and that's what kind of gave me the inspiration for this video. It's like, this guy has no idea how slow that bullet is coming out of that gun. That is insane. Prepare to lead your target. And he never even used the suppressor to get a flank off on me or my team. He's always like getting like these long to mid range like confrontations, and he starts shooting at me, and then I would take him out with my SCAR, and he'd just be like, oh shit. Let's move over to Call of Duty 4. That's right, the big one. So if we go over to Call of Duty 4 here, you can see an AK-47 class, and I really like running my AK this way. This is an optimal class for me. It's high damage, it's high impact. I two-shot people through walls all the time with it. It is super easy. That AK-47 two-shot in COD 4 goes down in history in my book as one of the most versatile, usable weapons in all of COD history. But if someone didn't know how to play the game, now this is a really big over-exaggeration, but if someone didn't know how to play the game and they just thought, it didn't really matter what you used, and I've talked to people like this, they might run the AK-47 like this. Oh jeez, that's not very good. Eavesdrop? Who cares? Why are you running an ACOG on it? What the hell are you doing? If somebody with my preferred AK-47 class went up against somebody using that, the person with mine would win most gunfights. The other player would have to be extremely skilled, and we're going to get into that more. I know you guys are waiting for this. I know a lot of you guys know where I'm going with this. But the knowledge that I have about the game and the experience I have with the game, I know how to make an optimal class, a try-hard class, and the people that don't know how to do that end up losing a lot of gunfights, and thus losing a lot of matches, and thus having a worse gameplay experience. And it increases the skill gap because an experienced player will know what to run because of their own personal preference, or because of, the stats of the weapon and the statistics, and finding out how good it is for what situations. And if they know how to build a class or a weapon that's optimal, they will do better than people that don't. Don't you want your experience to mean something? Yeah, well, customization allows your experience to mean a lot more. Now let's talk about the variety of customization. Here we have Infinite Warfare with a pretty decent NV4 class I have here. This is all centered around being a stealthy motherfucker. Pretty much invisible to everything except the naked eye. But we could change this class around into this. This class is way more aggressive. This isn't about being stealthy. This is about going loud and proud, hopping on objectives, soaking up more damage. I'd probably pair this with the Merc rig with the, I'd say reactive armor payload and the infusion trait. I think that would be perfect for aggressive hardpoint or domination matches. When a game gives you a lot of options to change how your player performs in terms of, what things they're resistant to or better at, you can increase their speed and things, you can really start tweaking each class for a different playstyle. Your class could be based around the weapon, your weapon could just complement the class itself, or the class and the weapon could both complement you. And you kind of want all of that to be happening at once when you make a class in a Call of Duty game. That's why I made the I Need a Weapon series, where I kind of make people think a little bit more about their classes, because they're a big part of success in Call of Duty. More experienced, higher skill players will know how to make a better class than you if you're not experienced or a higher skill level. Or at a higher skill level, whatever. Let's look at Ghost Recon Wildlands here. I believe, you should be seeing on screen here is an M4, and it's me customizing in a way that maybe is more aggressive, and then I can customize it to be a little bit more stealthy. This customization doesn't just cater towards playstyles, it caters towards variety. Causing one weapon to act in maybe like 4 or 5 completely different ways for different situations within Ghost Recon Wildlands is one of the reasons I like that game so much. Do you want a close range weapon with a short barrel, a compensator, loud and proud, 80 round magazine, you want to just mow people down? Or do you want, maybe a smaller magazine, something to grip onto to increase the accuracy, a longer barrel, a rangefinder, a longer zoom scope so you can take people out? That is the kind of customization I like. See, this is already adding a skill gap between the people that do know how to set up a proper loadout and a proper weapon, and the people that don't. It adds variety by letting your guns work in a number of different ways, and it adds replayability. And it allows you to tailor that specific weapon to your preferred playstyle. And games that have a lot of weapon variety and customization variety usually have another weapon that's better suited to your playstyle. So maybe, yeah, you could take the M4 from Ghost Recon Wildlands and make it a long-range machine, but the MK17 or the SCAR is way better at longer range, and so instead of tweaking a closer range gun to be set for long range, you could have a long range gun and set it to be even longer range. Now here's some of my more personal subjective things that I still think hold a lot of water. When there is lots of customization on offer, when there is lots of variety on offer, people's personalities can come out in their gameplay style. Maybe there's a statistically optimal way to run a certain gun in a certain game, and you go to play that certain game with that certain gun because you heard so many good things about it, but you just don't like it that much. Here's that thing that I like to not ignore on my channel, and that is the concept of personal preference. As much as it seems like maybe I ignore that, I try not to. Okay, there is this thing called personal preference, where even if something is phenomenal, a weapon in a shooter is phenomenal, you might not like it, you might not be able to do well with it. So then you tweak it. And people start asking you, well, why are you running it that way? That doesn't even work. And you can say, well, I do well with it. And if you do genuinely do better with that gun with that attachment set, or that gun with that attachment set, or whatever, that game now has a little bit more of your personality into it, because we all have our own personal preferences. Exclusive Ace is a Call of Duty YouTuber who is exceptional at Call of Duty, and he likes the Type 2 assault rifle in Infinite Warfare. Look at the sights on the Type 2 here. Aren't they beautiful? You don't even need a red dot or a scope on that. That is just so clean and usable, but he prefers an ELO sight on it. He prefers a different sight on an already really well-sighted weapon. And I just like that. He's so good at Call of Duty. He is so active in the community, and he knows so much about the game. He does weapon stats and all that stuff. But there's certain things that he likes to run, and that makes it interesting. It kind of lets you experience more of the game. Because you can be like, well, this gun doesn't really need that sight, but I like looking through that sight, you know, or something like that. And to me, that's cool. I don't know. It kind of separates players that give a shit versus the ones that don't, versus the ones who play a lot and versus the ones who don't. Because a player that plays a lot will know what they want. They know what to run. They know what they're comfortable with. It might not be the most statistically optimal. No. But they're good with it. And that's something that I think makes a shooter a little bit more personal and interesting. It adds personality to it. So why is it that games that come out with less variety and customization, they don't do as well? Because they don't have any of the things that I mentioned. You can't make that gun run 4 different ways. And in games without customization, the skill gap is as simple as how you use the gun and how you use guns in general, instead of the secondary skill gap, which is how to set it up in the first place, how to set up that class in the first place. Because yes, obviously, a big part of learning how to play a shooter is learning how to aim and shoot and get better at, you know, using different weapons for different situations. But I think setting them up is also an important skill. I don't feel like having customization negates skill. Yes, it does cater to more laid-back, casual players, of course. There's some people that only use weapons in the in the military spec sense. Like, I use the M4 with an ACOG sight and a foregrip, and that's it. You know, it's like I'm trying to run it like an actual soldier would run an M4 or something. Yeah, that's cringy, but it's adding replayability for that person because they want the gun to look like it is in real life, or they want to mimic, you know, real combat or the feeling of a real weapon or something. It's just interesting. The games that allow you to put a weird scope on your SMG or a suppressor on a sniper rifle for no reason other than to make the bullet nice and slow. They just seem to have player bases that last a lot longer. And it's a big part of the reason that old Call of Duty games are almost infinitely replayable. Even games like COD 4, which has very limited customization compared to the newer titles, you still feel like you can tweak things. You still feel like you can go in and have an experience, you know, based on your weapon and everything, that you've never had before. I've never ran the P90 with a Barrett 50 cal. I've never ran a 1911 and a shotgun. You know, it's kind of dumb. Might seem like I'm grasping at straws, but I hope you get the picture that I'm trying to paint here. So in summary, I believe that customization adds a skill gap, because what takes more skill? A game where you don't have to worry about setting up your gun, or you do have to worry about setting up your gun? It adds variety to each weapon. Each weapon could be ran 5, 10, 20 different ways. Parentheses, in games that have a lot of customization, it can. It adds replayability, because you can go back to a game and run a gun in a way you never did before. You can play in a way that's competitive and optimal, or a way that's goofy and fun and challenging. You can challenge yourself with weird weapons and weird setups, things that aren't optimal, things you're not used to using, as opposed to only playing with the most competitively viable gun and not have to worry about how you set it up at all. It adds personality. You see people using guns that you would never run, but they do amazing with it. People run something that's just statistically terrible, but they take it upon themselves to become useful with such trash. There was an SMG in Black Ops 3, this is part of the summary. There was an SMG in Black Ops 3 called the Weevil, and at launch everybody said it was garbage. So me and a couple of my friends took it on ourselves to use it until we were comfortable with it, and then we had a lot of fun laughing at people going like, how do you do well with that, or that gun's trash, and so we could come back and be like, you're trash with it, dude. When every weapon is competitively viable no matter what because you can't change them in any way, all of the things I just mentioned throughout this video go away, and those are really big aspects to shooters. You know, obviously a big aspect to a video game is customizing the tools that your character is using and how you are playing with your character. This also goes for RPGs as well. It's the same thing. If you want to have a good team in like something like Destiny or World of Warcraft, you want people of different classes using different abilities to help people out in different ways. I don't know, I'm just a filthy casual. I think I made good points in this video. If you disagree with them, fuck yourself. If you, wouldn't that be great? No, if you do disagree with them, I guess let me know down in the comment section below why. I feel like these are decent points. I don't feel like I'm like jumping the gun too much on this. I don't feel like I'm making any of this up. But anyway, leave me feedback down in the comment section below. Leave a like, share this video if you liked it, and I'll see you when I see you. Sorry for the excess and long videos recently. I'm going to try to get some more short and condensed videos out. I feel like all my videos recently have been like way too long or boring, so I'm sorry about that. But hopefully you enjoyed the topic, and if you did, again, all the things before, and see you when I see you. This is 2 see you when I see you. I don't know why. I guess I have to end this one with like a bye!